to the 1908 podcast. I'm one of your co-hosts, Tyler Weber.
And this is Cassie Weber. And in today's episode, we will be going over control. I think sometimes you can take this word in infertility and it be like, oh, that's obvious. Like, obviously, you lose control. But what I don't think people talk about is going that step deeper about what that looks like, what you can control, what you can't control. And I think that this conversation will resonate with a lot of people, especially when we're all in this walk together.
Do you think you are in control until you aren't? Right? You have your whole future planned out, and you think you're gonna do this by X, Y, and Z, and do this by the X, Y, and Z, and then when it doesn't happen, you're like, oh wait,
No.
No, I thought I was in control. What's going on? But then, I mean, there is people that have a plan of what they want to do, and
it goes
everything goes accordingly.
Mm-hmm. And that can be really hard. It still is really hard.
It's a hard pill to swallow.
Yeah. I think for us, when we decided that we wanted to start having kids, there's nothing wrong with having a plan and wanting to see that through. That's kind of how life works, right? Like, the clock of life has some pretty loud stereotypes to it, right? Like, you go through your childhood, and then your adolescence, and then your teens, and then your youth. Like, you go through this whole thing, and then you end up with the inevitable, right? But with that in mind, the moment that we lost all control was when we were disrupted by the start of our infertility journey, which for us was loss. It all started with loss. And it was a tragic loss that still to this day, I can talk about it and relive it just like it happened when it happened. And of course, everyone's quote unquote start to their infertility journey is different. Everyone's different, right? But it's not like that was just the only thing lost. Like, everything else in our foundation of us individually, together, our marriage, that foundation was shaken. Mm-hmm. And I just think that people don't realize how severe those consequences can be when you're battling that while life goes on for everyone else. I don't think we really spiraled in the beginning of our journey. I think when I look at what our journeys looked like so far, we spent and have spent, I would say, a good 2.5 to 3 years trying to control this journey. And it's not necessarily that's not wrong for doing, but when you sit where we sit now, when you had to have enough strength to put pause, to protect so many other things around you, self-control is a huge thing. Whether that's, for us, we had to stop pursuing treatment because we were financially blocked from continuing responsibly. If I've learned anything in this journey, as maybe obvious as it would seem, it's that you can plan everything out and pursue everything out in the way that you plan for, but the outcome is so uncontrollable in this type of journey. Mm-hmm. We are living proof as of right now, and I hope maybe that's not the truth later, but as of right now, we are breaking the kind of the lie that you're told that, oh, just do IVF and you'll have a baby. Well, that hasn't been us. We did everything by the options that you can choose before you go into a whole different conversation. We did it. And then now what? It's like everyone wants to fix you, right? Well, did you do this? Well, did you do that? Well, have you tried that? And it's like, don't you think that we've tried to control enough? Like controlling what we ate or drank, controlling what we did, when we did, if we did,
how we did, all of those questions. We tried to control every aspect to the point where it drove us insane.
Mm-hmm. And it was from start to finish, it's like you rebuilt a foundation that was built on fear.
That's it.
I can't, it's like I can look at it and do it a different way now. But in that time when we were doing it all, spending it all, trying it all of that, all at once, it was built because of fear. And I'm not going to lie, that fear will still follow me, and it still is very prevalent in my life. But there's other things that have held us back from pursuing that. And maybe I can look at that now and be like, okay, well, thankfully that was maybe the roadblock that we needed for many different things and reasons. I think something that still like is riveting to think about is when you decide that this desire is something that you need help pursuing aside from each other. Like you can't do it alone and you feel like you need help medically or in many other ways. You're also giving your control to the medical system. You're giving the control to medical professionals, and you are having to put so much trust in something that doesn't have the highest percentage of success. I hate to say that out loud, but it's, again, it's hard to sugarcoat it. Like, we had to literally sign our lives away the moment that we decided to start seeking fertility treatments. You do things on their clock, on their time, by the dates. Your job doesn't matter, your money doesn't matter, minus that you must pay. Check your card right away, right? Mm-hmm. Your things that you plan in your life or you can't plan accordingly for, well, guess who takes precedence? Your clinic or your fertility treatment or your cycle that you're working to try to find success in. And it's like giving up control in your journey is one of the scariest things. And I think how we did it was not the healthiest, because that's when we really truly fell into that spiral of just brokenness. I was so lost and you were so hurt, and we both were just spiraling into nothing. We were spiraling into the dark, dark, dark waters that I would not want to relive. And I still fear to this day in reliving it in any type of way. Mm-hmm. That's scary, because it's like we know how easy it is to get to that, but we also know how hard it is to get back out of it.
Well, yeah, our first time that we went through stuff, we thought we had a little bit of control. Now going into our second time of doing treatments and going through a majority of it again, I think we're even more shy and timid because we know we have zero control. Mm-hmm. Like we're having this episode because we're like, we know we can't control anything. Yeah. Right? Mm-hmm. It's not that one day where I spent too much time in the sun that, or the one thing that we ate last week. Yeah. Like, it's like, we know that it's none of our control, and I think that's what scares us more.
Yeah. I think I carry a lot of rage. Like I get very rageful and angry towards the fact that we did everything that you could do. Anything that money could do, we did until we couldn't anymore. And we invested in so many people that we believed in, but we thought also believed in us. And not that it's not like you're putting blame on it. You're sad, and I've gotten very it's put me in rage of, well, it's worked for everyone else. And I've been told now by many people, like, we're just really a difficult case. We're a no answer case. We're an anomaly. And that just stings so bad.
Yeah.
Because I just believe there's more to it, you know? Like, I just believe there's more to it. And it's like, once I had to wave my white flag in our journey, like, it wasn't like we had to decide it together, but it was also a very individual thing. It was very individual on, like, I had to save myself from what spiral I was going down, and just being okay with letting go of control. And I think when you come to that term of, like, I was just so tired of trying to control every little aspect in our lives. It felt like you would put 5 steps forward and be a bajillion back, you know? Like, it wasn't just minor. Everything was so extreme in devastation. Yeah, I guess that moves into, like, having your awakening, or, I mean, you can call it a reckoning, but that was for us in this control thing, that moment that your white flag is waving and you say, no more, I can't take any more. Whether that was physically, mentally, emotionally, however, whatever it was, that was when it was like your lowest of low, but also that moment that we can look back on and know that we had to reclimb that mountain. And we don't know what drop off it looks like right where we're at now. We've healed and we've worked and we've tried so hard to get this right again. And if you are listening, I was pointing at my head and then my heart. So the awakening is hard.
I still feel like it's just a fresh wound, though.
Yeah.
Like, we maybe have healed.
Or healing.
But it's still healing.
Yeah. I think with this too, it's like this was our turning point, but this hasn't been the turning point that has resulted in what we've still desired. With an infertility journey, you are dealing with so many different turns and ways and pathways. And so we've had many turning points, good, bad, everything in between. And this turning point that we're at now, I think what's scary is when you feel like sometimes when you feel like you've worked so hard to get where you are now, you fear more on how much harder you fall after. Because that's kind of what we've walked, is like you're walking and then you fall a foot down and then you're walking back, like you're inclining back up and then you fall 6 feet. And it's like, you just feel like it's so hard to recover back from each fall because they get harder and harder and farther and deeper, right? So yeah, I think I would say we're kind of in that phase in working and walking through. Obviously, this whole point, like the whole point of this podcast is we are one line away from what we so badly desire. And when we're in this, since we're in this, we've had to kind of like redefine intention on our life, us, our future. Like, there's so much that we've had to redefine. And that, I think, has been something that has brought health into what we've been working and walking through. And if there's anything, I want to take back every single thing that infertility has taken from us that we can control. And what that means is there has been things that I've let go of. Maybe that's eating a certain way, taking a certain seed. There was a time where I was really careful about coffee consumption or caffeine consumption. Like, there was so much, right? Like, every single step that I made used to be planned, and it was all, again, based on fear. And so now when I can look at it, it's like, though there's things I still would like to re-implement, it's been on my time. It's on, now I'm taking it back of like, no, this is my body. This is my safe haven to choose what I choose to consume and intentionally live with and by. I mean, gosh, we can even tiptoe into, taking the control back, especially with treatment, though we felt very broken by when we had to stop. Now it's that clock that's ticking of, now we get to decide again when we're ready to dip our toes back into that. In what ways, right? And there's been things that we've done in between, let's say a year to now that we've, I guess we'll be transparent. We've done medicated cycles here and there just to kind of throw something at the wall. And here we are still one line away. But it's one of those things that it's the control that we can have is we get to choose yes or no on whether or not we want to entertain that. I think relationally, we've been able to slow down. It got so messy and chaotic for a few years. And now Tyler and I are at a pace where there's other things, there's noise around us, but we're able to control our personal noise together. We now choose and decide what we entertain going to or not going to. We decide if we are okay with consuming a drink or not. We can decide what vitamins I'm shoving down your throat or not. But we can communicate that. We can communicate better now than what we did before when it just got so loud and lost.
Choosing to heal at your own pace is something that I think is very beneficial for each party. I think that was very difficult for me because, and we've mentioned it before, with how it was, I struggled with it because I had a hard time saying no to a lot of things until I couldn't say yes.
Yeah.
There was, with you came to me right after the last failed transfer and wanted to do a whole bunch of things. And I was just like, I can't. Yeah. I couldn't do it. I was on the brink of going insane. And that's when I had to kind of choose to be able to figure a lot of stuff out before we continued doing anything. Which makes it more difficult because you're gung-ho, you were all for it.
Yeah. I think your life crumbled at the worst time too.
Yeah.
A lot went wrong for you.
Yeah.
At the end of our pursuing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a lot of different factors involved.
Yeah.
But it's been kind of crazy, just the doors that it's opened. So, maybe it was good that I didn't have control because I think I was on a path that I didn't like and that I'm happier with. But that's beside the point for the sake of this episode.
Can you talk a little bit about, I think this is one of the hardest things to have watched you have to heal through, was your anger. Anger for you was one of the hardest things to watch because you became a version that I know wasn't you, but I would say in the time that you were spiraling and having that awakening, I think in that past year and a half, you were angry, so angry.
I would even say that I'm not even over the anger part of it though. Right? You see stuff all the time online where you're just like, why can't we have it?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that anger is still there, but I try to find the good things that we do have.
Yeah.
You try to find the good moments that we do have, or the podcast, or the community that we've been around within this, or, our merch. Like, we try to find the good things, or I try to find the good things so I don't go down that path again. Because there's moments where I want to.
Oh, for sure.
There's moments where I want to go and listen to those sad songs and get in one of those moods on the car ride home, or, go have a beer and not have a fun beer.
I think too, like, you lost so much, like, you had no voice anymore because no one was listening, right? Like, no one really cared to, know how, like, ask how you were, right?
It was a lot of how's Cassie feeling, which is, I'm always, and I know I've said it before, like, I'm fine with that because a lot of it was her body and stuff. But there is two people in this relationship, and I think that was really hard when it was just every single time, like, how is she? How is she? How is she? And I was always just like, we're battling, we're going through it, we're grinding it out.
Yeah.
And it was never like, oh, like, how are you? And I think the how are you started when... That's a great question.
I was going to say, like, I think our podcast for you, if I can speak for you, has been part of your...
Taking my control back.
Yeah. Like, I think it's helped soften, it's helping you soften through the anger and the pain and the confusion. I mean, there's so many feelings, right?
Or even just like the little things of, like, guys will be like, dude, it'll happen for you guys. And I'll just make like the comment of, like, that's what they tell me, and it sounds negative, but it's like, dude, I've heard that so much, I've heard that so much that right now in my mind, I can't live like that. I can't sit there and just be like,
oh, it's going to happen when it happens.
Yeah. I can't do that because then I'll just get down this rabbit hole of never ending sad songs and
bad decisions, brain decisions. Yeah.
So I just, like, I have to make, and I've made that before, and they're like, oh, like, you don't have to joke about it. Like, they've said that. And I'm like, yeah, I do, for my own personal
mental,
because I'll just go insane. I can't sit there and just be like, have someone tell me that, which I really appreciate when they tell me that, but, like, I don't at the same time. It's hard to hear that over and over and over. And it's like, yes, I want to believe that. Trust me, there's no one else in this world that wants to believe that more than me and you. But there's times where it's like, dude, I can't sit there and, tell myself something that may not even be true.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, like, I have to take control and understand that, like, and this isn't to be negative, but it couldn't be, it may be true. You don't know that. Right. Yeah. And I don't want it to be true, but we also have to keep that in the cards.
Have you noticed how people, I don't know if this is good or bad. I want to hear your take on this, but, like, I've definitely noticed that over the years with even the people that have been in our lives in this journey the longest, or maybe have just, like, seen through the grapevine, or, like, just really have taken note on what we've been through. I feel like some people have changed from, oh, like, it's meant to happen when it'll happen, or, like, yeah, like, I know it's going to happen, like, to now it's, I wish that we could change something about the outcome, or, like, I feel like the verbiage has changed to, I'm sad that this is what you're going through. Like, this has to stop for you guys because it's so unfair.
Yeah.
And I actually I really appreciate that twist.
So you can just be like,
thank you.
Yes.
Yeah. Like,
exactly how I feel.
I don't know if it's been just the podcast, but maybe it has been since that our time in January to now. I do feel like people now, or maybe I do feel like more sensitive towards our journey, and
well,
it's not like that false positivity, toxic, like,
they realize that it's not just, oh, they can't have kids.
Yeah.
It's, oh, they've been down this road that has a dirt road with potholes that are huge that break our car. And
Equators.
We're putting our car parts back together, trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
And it's not just like, oh, they've been 4 years and like, oh, they're just having sex and not being able to have kids. It's like, no, it's a lot deeper than that.
It's a lot
deeper. And I think
than
people that are not down this journey, right, maybe realize, okay, maybe I don't have as much control as I think I do, right? Regardless of if they have their family or not.
Yeah.
I think there's people that are like realizing that, you know, if they're listening to our podcast, even though they're not going down this journey, they're realizing like, oh, wow, like that could have happened to me. You know, like we don't have an explanation of why we're going through this, even from a professional standpoint or professional outlook.
Yeah.
Like it could have been anyone, but it just happens to be us.
Yeah.
And I think we're giving a voice to those people because not a lot of people can talk about it. I mean, we mentioned that a lot, but.
Yeah. And I think it's hard too because with all of this in mind too, I'm just going to come out and say it like this. It's really hard to be the person that's been through the worst of it in our circle. Like, I know that can sound so pity or pitiful, but that's why this podcast also has brought in so much healing and just help for us, because we've just felt so misunderstood. And though I'm extremely glad that the people in our lives haven't dealt with things in this deep extent, there's a disconnect that has also not been the healthiest for us, because we just felt like we had nowhere to go or no one to relate to. And unfortunately, this world has been met with matches far worse than ours. But because of that, it's those types of people that bring health in journeys like this. Yeah. So I know that was a little bit off topic, but
I don't think so, because it's still about the control of your, like our story. Like when we get down in the trenches like that,
yeah,
you know, like I said earlier, you have to take back your control, or else you will get.
It'll take you every time. Yeah.
You will get destroyed.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, talking about getting out of the trenches and making sure that you are taking control of what little control you have, right? You're taking control of something that, it may not be like you're controlling the outcome, but you're controlling your mental outcome. Yeah. Which is, it's a crazy way to put it.
Yeah, I think at some point you have to decide what's most important, because obviously for us, you can't do XYZ equals whatever, because no equation works for us. No one has been able to, at this point, put an equation together and solve it. And so you have to decide which of that equation, which of those pieces help you survive in the meantime.
When you first get into this infertility world, you're like a warrior. You're running 4,000 miles an hour into it.
I can envision it now.
And after you go into like your first battle, you're like, and you don't come out on the other end of it. You take your lickings and you're like, all right, let's heal up for the next one. And this one, you're not running 4,000 miles. You're running 2,000. You're giving over 100%. Yeah. But you can't go full bore, because if I go full bore again, like the likelihood that I want to go in for a third battle is very slim to none, right? Yep. And it's not saying that we're going to be done, but it's like,
there's just a point.
You take precautions because you have to protect yourself.
Yeah, and that's where we've been. Is there was a point where we had to save ourselves from the battle that almost had us and took us in so many ways, you know. And it's just so serious. It's so deep. It's so much deeper. And there's things going on around everyone's lives. And I try to be so much more sensitive to that now, because it's like, even if it's not related to infertility, but when it is especially related to infertility, when someone confides in me or is walking through something that I walked through alone a couple or a few years ago, it's like, that's when for me, I'm like, this is what I wish I had when I was dealing with it. So I want to be able to provide in the way that I needed in that time. And so I feel like recently there's been some things that have helped me. I've relived a few things, a few triggering things with some people really close to me. But it's like taking the control back from all of this that defines you. Like, we were defined by fear in infertility, and now I want to be defined by not allowing true defeat in us or in my heart, you know?
Yeah, like perseverance.
Yeah.
Honestly, like, to a point.
Yeah. I want to, like, it's almost like my rage now, instead, like, it's like I still have very real current, like, rage and anger for us, but I'm even more angry towards infertility.
Stupid infertility.
Yeah, like, I feel so
I'm gonna get a
much rage
pinata
towards,
and just put
literally,
infertility on it and
literally
beat the wheels
yeah.
off it.
Like, if I want to choose violence over anything, it's straight up like just this journey, right? Like,
next time I gotta go cut down a tree, I'm just gonna write infertility on it and go to town.
yep. So
I may be sore the next day, but that tree's going down, baby.
yeah. Yeah. I wanted to end on this, and this is something that I think will kind of continue forward, is we are also taking the control back in choosing what we share or don't share in our current infertility walk. And again, that's been something where when this whole podcast came to fruition, we decided, no, we're not going to be silenced anymore. No, we're not going to be broken in the ways that we were anymore. And reclaiming that has been so pivotal to our journey. And so I think moving forward, even with the things that kind of in behind the scenes that Tyler and I are working through and working on and trying to figure out what the heck is next, we've definitely made some new fresh steps. I think what you guys can expect for the podcast is something very transparent moving forward in this current journey we're walking. I think that now that we feel like we're in a place that we are mentally, physically, all those things, I want to take everything back that we lost, that we were silenced and hid behind, with whatever step we make next. Because I just don't think that I'm going to go about anything coming in the way that we did once, because we know what that looked like.
Yeah.
If you take anything from this too, it's that there's no right way to do this. There's only your way. And that's enough. Point blank, period. Your way is the only way that you know, no matter when it's up, when it's down, when it's completely sideways. You just have to believe that it's enough right in that moment. The merch drop was something that I didn't honestly think was possible. It's one of those things that also felt very like untouchable. And then we were able to have a little connection that made things possible. And so this first merch drop, it again means so much to us. Mm-hmm. And I just can't believe the thought that our stuff is going to be spread across 10 plus states in so many different items. Mm-hmm. And I just really hope that we get pictures from every order, from everyone. I definitely will be kind of barking at everyone for just knowing that you guys, get these items and know how much they have touched our hearts, to be able to give you a little virtual hug in a sweet little piece of clothing or item. So, yeah.
Sweet. No, I really wanted to just say something about our last episode. It was really, really fun. The humor episode was so fun. Being able to record that one, it actually kind of brought a little light to us, just recording that one, because we were able to laugh. I mean, obviously these episodes get a little deep with us, so we, afterwards we kind of have to take like 10 to 20 minutes just kind of taking a break from everything, just so then we can kind of like get back to normal life and not in podcast depression mode on some episodes.
Yeah.
So no, that humor episode was awesome. I was talking to Cassie about it after that we filmed that episode. I was like, man, we should just do a humor part 2, part 3, part 4, because I'm sure, as I said in that episode, we'll come up with more stuff that was funny, and being able to like put those episodes together, because it was really fun. Thanks for listening to this week's episode. We'll see you guys in the next one.